Hello, welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's the movie The Adam Project, the Netflix movie, I should say, The Adam Project. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and then we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos. My vast video library pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you don't want to be notified when I come on live, then you can hit that bell down below, and YouTube will not notify you when I come on live. It's actually a 50-50 chance. It's really a crapshoot. But if you do want to be notified when I come on live, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Actually, you won't be notified. You'll see what the schedule is up there. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages. So, with that said, the spoiler-free review of this movie. So what is this movie? It's a time travel movie, of course, with Ryan Reynolds, Jennifer Garner, Mark Ruffalo, who play a family unit. Ryan Reynolds being the son, Jennifer Garner, the mother, and Mark Ruffalo, the father. Um, how can I say this without giving anything away? Um, there are it basically it plays like an 80s movie. It's trying to play up the old time travel movies, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Back to the Future, things of that nature. It has that feeling to it. And at one point, they tried to describe how the time travel works. They abandon it completely and then do whatever the fuck they want for the time travel, rules of time travel, if you will. Uh, that being said, it's still a fun movie. It is if you just disconnect your mind and say, you know what, they're not playing by any rules at this point, kind of like Bill and Ted, where they just kind of let the rules go and they try to impart some rules at the very beginning of Bill and Ted, and they're like, fuck it, we're just gonna go with it. And that's pretty much what the Adam Project does as well. So, and Zoe Saldana is also in this as well. Um, so yeah, it's a popcorn movie. I wouldn't have paid to see this in the movie theater, not in any way, shape, or form. On Netflix, though, it is fine. It's actually an above average Netflix movie. I'll say this much for it. It's a lot of fun. It's got the Ryan Reynolds snarkism stuff that goes on as well. Um, so yeah, it's decent, is it worth your time? Yeah, it's worth your time. I mean, it's Netflix. What else are you going to do? You're going to be looking at other stuff on Netflix anyway, so go for it. You know what, take a look at it and see what you think on that. And with that said, and the kid who plays the young Ryan Reynolds is good as well. So yeah, with that said, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. I'm giving you enough time to hit pause, stop, whatever the fuck you're doing out there. There we go. All right. Jody says, yeah, to paraphrase that guy from RoboCop, I wouldn't buy that for $1. Yeah. I don't know. I'd pay $1 for this. That's about it. I think I'd buy that for $1. Yeah, that's pretty much my running speed on this one. I'd buy it for $1. Um, so with that said, I wasn't a fan of the rules of time travel because it was just so fucking timey-wimey that it yeah, at first, they were trying to say, "Oh, well, why don't you remember when Ryan Reynolds as the adult who comes from 2050 comes to 2022 and meets his 12-year-old self?" His 12-year-old self says, "Well, do you remember any of this?" And he goes, "No, I don't." He goes, "But that could just be because of," and then he spits out some techno babble of, it could be some temporal anomaly that, wipes out your memory once I'm gone and I go back to my time. Um, and I was like, okay, you're going to play it that way. All right. Um, Jody says, Dennis, they probably shouldn't have bothered to explain time travel rules for this one. I think it probably would have helped further. Yeah, I agree with you. They shouldn't have just done anything about that or whatsoever. Where if the kid had asked, "Do you remember anything about this?" He goes, "No, I don't. I don't know why." Boom. I'm not a theoretical physicist like my dad. Yeah. Yeah. And Catherine Keener, by the way, is in this too. She plays the villain, if you will, and does a good job of it. She is menacing enough. And at first, she starts off, I could see how she could be very benign, but then she becomes more menacing. So I saw that. That was actually pretty good. And Catherine Keener, I mean, she's played a type of role like this before when she was in Being John Malkovich, where she just kind of gets meaner and meaner. Well, especially towards the John Cusack character. But yeah, she definitely can go into villain mode, and it was kind of nice to see that as well. Um, Jody says, might have been fun if time was pushing back and resisting the changes rather than having the protagonist fighting actual human. I don't know. I mean, I I'm glad they didn't have time be the protagonist. That kind of sucks. You need to have some kind of, I guess, villain, if you will. Yeah. And this worked out fine. The only thing that gets me is that they set up a gigantic time paradox, is what they did, because they go back to 2018 in order to stop time travel from ever being invented. But if you prevent time travel from being invented, then you can't go back in time to stop time travel from ever being invented. It's called a paradox. And no matter what rules you have set in place or anything like that, that is a huge paradox right there. And that's the one thing I can't get over. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's this one thing you just can't get over because it is a huge time paradox. You can't go back and undo something that's already done, that you're using as a vehicle in order to undo the thing that you just can't do it. Doesn't work that way. Um, yeah, and I know there's gonna be somebody out there that says, "Well, it already happened, so wave my hand, see over here." Yeah. No, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. You can't. Yeah, you can't do it. I mean, if you already have established that Catherine Keener's character had changed the timeline to a way that was beneficial to her and cemented, then yeah, you can't do it. You just can't do it. It doesn't work out. The math doesn't work out. And as the character says, it's later than you think when you start thinking about that. Yeah, that timey wiminess of it. Jody says, "Well, to your point, maybe they could have pulled from Back to the Future playbook a bit more." You're talking about alternate timelines. You could also go Loki and say, "Well, you have this alternate timeline that you need to trim off, and what would you do at that point?" I mean, you're saying that you have a variant then out there, and that so then when the 12-year-old Ryan Reynolds or Adam and the 40-year-old 42-year-old, whatever he is, Adam, are existing in 2018, instead of disappearing, they would still exist within that time frame, yet they would still also exist within that timeline because the timeline is now a single timeline and not branching off. So they could exist as variants if you want to go that way as well. Trust me, this is the shit that will keep me up at night, this kind of stuff, thinking about how time travel works in this movie. Luckily it didn't. I just said, no, fuck it. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole except when I start doing this. And then I'll go down that rabbit hole. So um Yeah, Jody says, I mean, they had the main baddie meeting her younger self. Like, yeah, they did have the Biff Tannen moment. I even mentioned Biff Tannen, where I think it was younger him says something about I forget what it was. And I know, I think actually it was older him said to younger him something about that, and they mentioned Biff Tannen from Back to the Future. So yes, they could have pruned timelines. Also, the thing that was problematic for me was they were talking about people dying uh, that were outside of their timeline or were not in their specific time and how they disappeared. Um, I'm like, okay, so if they disappeared, are how why would they disappear if you can actually cement the timeline the way Catherine Keener's character does? So it didn't work out, you know? Yeah. CBM says, was the Ryan Reynolds at the end supposed to be the same Ryan Reynolds that changed time with no memory of it because he never mind. Exactly. That's exactly it. And then also, if they changed the timeline enough where they didn't have to go back in time in order to stop time travel from happening, why does Mark Ruffalo's character remember them then? And then also, why does he learn the lesson that he should spend more time with his kid instead of being a workaholic dad and changing their future while changing 12-year-old and 40-year-olds Adam's future by spending more time with them? So when you start thinking about it, it becomes problematic. If you just take your brain out, set it off on the couch, actually just place in the popcorn bucket next to the popcorn, just make sure you don't take any bites out of it. And you just eat the popcorn and you watch it go, uh-huh, that's great. Lightsabers, woo! That then you're good. Yeah, yeah. Jody says that was convenient, but they didn't bother really making it all that clear. They didn't. And then also the reason so Mark Ruffalo, the father's character's death, which is a traffic accident, obviously. If that's the case where they could have prevented that and it wouldn't have had any profound difference on the timeline, why didn't they do it? I mean, obviously they showed that the only thing that would have a profound difference was if you did something where you were actually like Catherine Keener's character did, where she built this gigantic corporation that pretty much took over the world. That was a big alteration. She started small, but it became a big alteration, which of course fucked things up. Now, having this theoretical physicist live who has the key to time travel in his head at this point, um, is that going to be that big of an anomaly if he never uses it? So there's that question. And I'm pretty sure this is where the sequel is going to go for this because there's going to be a sequel to it. I am sure this was the number one movie on Netflix, and I'm sure we're going to have this revival again because the whole Jennifer Gardner and Mark Ruffalo getting together, the 13 going on 30 reunion. What is it? Their 25-year reunion, somewhere around there. So people are going to want more of that too. I don't. And of course, having more Ryan Reynolds. Netflix loves working with Ryan Reynolds, obviously, so they're going to bring him in. They're already doing a what is it, Red Notice 2, so that's going to be happening as well. Um, yeah, so I'm sure Ryan Reynolds is set for the foreseeable decade or two with all of this. So, is it a good movie? Yes, it's a fun movie. It's a fun action adventure movie. Just don't put too much thought into it. You start putting too much thought into it, and then it'll crumble apart, and you'll be a bitter, disappointed podcaster. That's where I'm at right now. Um, Jody says also, I think the way they went about stopping time travel from being invented thing might have been more interesting if it wasn't a big battle, but more subtle. Yeah, but you need to have the big bad villain fight and all of that. Cordell Fenwell says, "Hello, Dennis. They took so many liberties with the way that time travel altering works, and without much logic, and avoiding going to deep explanation, I don't think there's too much to figure out." Yeah, I agree with you. So there was an article that I read online about someone who's like, "Yay, they didn't think too much about time travel. I love this movie." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm wondering what kind of movies you like that." Anyway, yeah. Jody says like Ruffalo could have tweaked his time equations, or well, he would have to pull out the drive. Remember, the drive was locked in place. There was no way to access that drive to alter it. So he would have to have taken the drive out, found some way to access it to change that algorithm. And I'm sure no matter what he did to change that algorithm would have tweaked it enough that you wouldn't get the stable wormholes holes anymore. Which is what they needed. They just needed to destabilize the wormholes. You probably could have written something else to destabilize the wormholes or to make them so unreliable that time travel wasn't feasible. So, yeah, that's where I'm at on that. Yeah. So, fun movie, but yeah, don't think too much into it. Honestly, it's there's not much to think into. And the whole side story of him going into all of this because of his wife disappearing, and that's the reason why, he's searching for his wife really, and then finds stumbles upon the thing with his dad. Yeah, it's a little too coinkydink for me, and all of that. So Cordo Fennel says it's just a fun reminding of actually an 80s B flick is really what it was. So if you notice the thumbnail that I put up here for this podcast, the it looks like Drew Sturgeon kind of drew or painted that particular painting. I'm fairly sure Drew did not do that, but so Drew Sturgeon, for those of you who don't know, he painted every single motherfucking poster from like 1978 to about 1998, I think, somewhere around there. And we're talking Raiders of the Lost Ark, Big Trouble in Little China, you name it, he painted it. And yeah, so that's what they kind of were mimicking. That was a Drew Sturgeon painting. Hey, Penn. Yeah, I liked it too, Penn. I'm not saying I didn't. I'd say it's worth your time. I'm just saying don't think too much into it. You start thinking about the time travel portion of it, and you're gonna say, "Fuck, that doesn't work." So, CBM says, "Well, if you propose the idea that things have to be logically consistent, then you open that door. Hot nonsense is a viable strategy, but you can't give an explanation." Hot nonsense. I like that. I think that's the name of my new band is Hot Nonsense. Um, but yeah, I that's why I said you can't think of this logically. You need to fucking go with it and have fun. It's the same thing like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You need to just remove your brain, set it aside, and just watch it for fun because that's what it is. It's just a fun journey. Yeah. Cordell Fenwell says, I think they should have leaned on the kid's character more. I don't know. I think they actually balanced it out fairly well. I think Jennifer Garner's character and Zoe Saldana's characters both got the short end of the stick for the most part on all of this. Uh, just kind of like we need to add some women in. How about these guys? That we need to add some women in that aren't evil because we already have Catherine Keener in here as the evil person, and so that's why they did what they did. But because it was too much of a guy fest with the three. You have the two Adams and the dad. So yeah, I got where they were going with it. And yes, Jennifer Gardner and Zoe Saldana were very much underused in this movie. So, what does Jody say here? I thought it was going to be more like the kid in that. Oh god, that really horrible Bruce Willis movie. people tried to erase that movie from existence. I think actually time travel might have been invented for people to go back in time to make sure that that movie, that Bruce Willis movie, The Kid, never existed. But because the paradox of, inventing time travel in order to go back in time in order to get rid of that, it didn't. Jesus Christ. Sorry. I guess we have construction going on in the building right now because if you can hear hammering going on, yeah, that's what I'm hearing right now, which is great to have at 6 o'clock in the evening. Cordell Venerable says, and Saldana's arc was totally empty. Yeah, it was. It was just meaningless. All it was a MacGuffin in order to get her to get them to 2018. That's all it was. It was just a MacGuffin. Yeah. Jody says they either should have used them more or didn't use them at all and save them for the sequel. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. That's okay, Jody. I thought I drank enough Jack Daniels to get rid of that brain cell. Remembered that movie, but unfortunately, it reared its ugly head. Yeah. Last Action Hero is a different movie. If you go back and watch Last Action Hero, it's not a bad movie. It's actually pretty good and pretty funny and decent, and it's a good parody of action films. I think it does a good job. It's silly, but that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a silly movie, and it was supposed to be skewing action movies. So, so yeah, yeah, I agree. It is a great movie. So what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow I'm going to be off. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I'm going to be off. Thursday is going to be the DMZ, or actually just DMZ, which is on HBO Max. That is going to be the premiere episode of DMZ on HBO Max Thursday night. Friday is going to be the mid-season finale of Resident Alien. Yes, I know I moved it from Thursday over to Friday. I had to because I just can't do the two podcasts on the same day. It's just not going to work. So Resident Alien's been moved over to Friday. Saturday I'm going to be off. Sunday will be the Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off, unless there's not enough news, but it looks like there's going to be enough news this week. And if there's not enough news, then we'll go over to spoiler alert is what will happen. Monday I'll be off, and then Tuesday we roll back around again to Is It Worth My Time? And I'm gonna try and do again what I was originally gonna do, The Boys Diabolical, which of course is the animated anthology series on Amazon. Try and do it that way. Yeah. So yeah. Resident Alien, so episode 8 is the mid-season finale, and then they come back in June, is what I heard. Yeah, I believe it's June, with another 7 episodes. So June is gonna be a fucking busy month for me. It really is. Obi-Wan's gonna be there. Miss Marvel now is going to be in June. Um, fuck. The Boys, Umbrella Academy, Resident Alien. That's 5 series right there. So, yeah. Yeah. No, it's not 16 episodes. It's, the Orville season 3 is already out, Jody. It came out, on the 10th of this month on Hulu. So, yeah. Yeah, June is just going to be I was like, "What the fuck is going on with June, man?" I mean, why are they doing that? But, yeah, the Orville season 3, I'm not covering. I'm not going anywhere near it. Um, I pissed off a lot of people with season 2. You can go back and take a look at it. It's in the archives, by the way. And, I pretty much pissed all over season 2 because rightfully so. And, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Am I gonna cover Halo? Probably not, Raymond. I honestly, I'm not familiar, one, with the video game, and two, I just have no desire to get Paramount Plus. I really don't. Yeah. Unless I hear like absolutely stellar things that I might do the the trial just to see how the first couple episodes are, but yeah, I just can't do it. I really can't. There needs to be something out there where you can buy seasons of episodes or seasons of series, rather than having to subscribe to like, a streaming service in order to watch it or something like that. Cause quite honestly, I don't fucking want to subscribe to Apple Plus or, Paramount Plus or My Ass Plus or, whatever Plus is going to have. Yeah. Penn says, "How much extra do you pay for Hulu on top of the 3-year Disney?" I only pay 99 cents a month right now, Penn. And Hulu just sent me an email today, of all things, saying, "Hey, you can add Disney Plus to your Hulu account for 2.99 a month." And I was like, "Hmm, that might be a plan." So yeah. Yeah, Penn, I'm talking about a legal service, not sailing the high seas. Honestly, sailing the high seas is problematic as it is anyway, and viruses, and then just there's just too many stupid things that are out there. Yeah. Yeah, I gave up trying to do any of that kind of stuff. It's just honestly, it eats up a lot of my time at the same time, so I just don't have that much time. I'd rather just pay $5 or whatever it is and just do it that way. But, yeah, unless it's Paramount Plus, then I really don't wanna pay the $5 because it's kind of a garbage channel. Mhm. Yeah. Monumental mistake, Cordell Veneval says, "What's that about?" Uh, okay. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh, you're talking about Halo? Is that what you're doing? Is you're trading Halo quips back and forth? Okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule that I put up there and also the links that I put up there as well. I've got the links to my social media and all the links to my pages. Oh, it's Last Action Hero references. Oh, it's been a while. Yeah. CBM says I had that problem with Doom Patrol. Didn't want to subscribe to Crave. Was planning on buying the season on Google Play, but wasn't available. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, that's the one nice thing I like about HBO Max is everything's on HBO Max there, and so you can watch your movies and by the way, with my new internet setup, by the way, I get HBO Max for free. Well, not for free. I'm paying for it through my internet service, but still. So yeah, so I got that going for me as well. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go for the rest of the night. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again on Thursday. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find out that time travel rules don't apply to anybody else. Even though that sometimes they do when you're in the movie and you just ignore them anyway and you just keep going with whatever you want to make up on the fly. So, you know how it goes. Thanks everybody. I will see you again on Thursday. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, get those vaccine shots, get those boosters as well. and the flu shot if you can. And take care out there. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you again on Thursday. Have a good rest of your night and have a good Wednesday. See you later, everybody.